not settle. You are worth what you think you are worth. That's really where I shine and where I flourish, because those events, they're, women empowerment, and like the music is stuff that I listen to in my car when I'm driving, so I'm more familiar with it. I love the fact that like I can network with so many different people.
Welcome back to Social Bridge. I'm super excited today. I have a great guest. Today I have DJ Ray Bay, where we're going to talk about her story. And so let's dive into the interview. All right, so how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Oh, I'm just so glad we've had a little bit cooler weather today, and I don't know, it's just nice to not be dying in Florida.
Yeah, at least it's facts.
I know, I was like talking, my wife's actually an art teacher, and I was talking with the children about the weather. I was like, do you like the cold? Do you not like the cold? And they were like, I love the cold. And then one of the kids was like, I absolutely hate when it's cold. And I'm like, that's Floridian.
Yeah,
like, that's
you're
the
from Florida for sure.
Do you like the cold?
I like when it's like 60.
Okay.
Anything less than that, no, I don't.
Okay, yeah, I like it to be pretty cold.
I was born in Massachusetts, so you
Oh.
would think that I would like the cold, but I don't really care.
Okay. Did you live there for an
I only lived there until I was 2, but my
Oh,
parents
okay.
would send me up to see my grandparents every year when I was a kid, until I was about like 16.
Okay, they were like going.
Yeah.
Did you say during the summer?
Yeah, during the summer.
Well, it was nice weather then.
Yeah, it was beautiful weather in the summer up there.
Yeah, it is. We went to Michigan this past summer, and I was like, yeah, I understand why people like are snowbirds. I didn't. Did not get it. I was like,
100%.
I'm like, it can't be that much cooler.
No, it's different. It's
different.
less humidity too. Like
Yeah.
we have a lot. Like I didn't realize just how much humidity we had here in Florida until I got off the plane when we got home from Massachusetts, and I was like, it hit me in the face, and I was like.
I know. I think who was I talking to? I think I was talking to like my like a lender friend of mine, and they were talking about how she went somewhere like Colorado or something, and she was like, I really thought they were joking. Like she's like, I've been in Florida most of my life, and she goes, but I just for some reason it just hit me when I got to Orlando, and I like walked out and like how humid it was, because there was like some Facebook post about like the most humid places on earth.
Yes,
was, like,
I've
the
seen
Orlando
that.
Airport.
Yes,
She was like talking about that. It was really
It's literally like you walk off and it's like swamp.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Not quite as bad as South Florida, which I know you said you're like from.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
even worse down there.
Yeah, I grew up in South Florida, and it was murder down there for sure.
Yeah, it's really hot. That's not my
Very
favorite.
hot.
Yeah, I know. When I go down to go see my family in Naples, I'm like, I don't know how you guys do this, because I would die. It's too much. That's too hot for me. I'm like,
Yeah, so I used to live in Jacksonville too.
okay. I used
After
to go
I-
to Jacksonville.
After I graduated
Okay.
here, I moved to Jacksonville like immediately,
Oh,
and
okay.
I lived there for like 7
Oh, wow.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was nice to, like, there was one day where it got so cold that it started to, like, it didn't really start to snow, but it started to freeze, and they had to close all the bridges because it was
That cold.
that cold, and it was starting to like freeze the bridges to where people were like swerving.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they just closed down the bridges.
Yeah, no, Jacksonville does get really cold. Like I said, I went to UNF, and it was a lot colder than here, because the wind's always blowing, especially because UNF's like closer to beachside.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like always windy, and I'd be like, and then I'd be cold, because then it was pretty cold, and I was not like anticipating for it to be that cold. And so that first winter, like I was like, I have to go buy winter clothes because I'm cold and I don't have clothes that
I don't
was
have
warm.
it.
Yeah, I don't have it. But all right, so let's talk a little bit about like what you do and how you got into being a DJ.
So I'm a DJ, and I got into it because my dad has been a DJ since I was 6 years old, and I've always gone with him for like gigs, like on weddings, events, parties, stuff like that, and I've always really enjoyed it, but I've never really been able to do it myself, because a lot of it is like, well, I mean, you can decide to do just parties and events and stuff like that, but you'll make more money in the long run if you end up getting a residency with a club. And I've always had partners who were very like insecure and couldn't allow me to do that. So I started DJing probably about, I don't know, like a year ago or so.
Okay.
I had cancer a couple of years ago, and it was a huge eye-opener for me. I decided I am tired of working for someone else who doesn't really care about me and my well-being. I want to do something, one, that I enjoy, two, something that gives me back the same gratification as I'm putting into it. And for me, that's DJing. Like, the energy in the room it gives me energy. Like, I feel like I'm feeding off of the energy that I'm given. And it's a feeling like nothing else. It's very like, get a rush, like on a roller coaster, you know? It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, no, I can tell, like, when you were at the Boss Ladies event, like,
Yeah.
I was like, she, like, I thought you were really good, which I was,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. I was a little unsure of, like, how it was gonna go, but, like, now knowing a little bit of your backstory kind of makes a lot more sense, because, like, you had somebody that did it for so long, and, like,
Yeah.
you got to watch, and, like,
Yes.
I'm sure you asked questions.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just, anytime you do anything for, like, a student period of time, you're eventually gonna become, like, an expert at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, that's just kind of how it goes. I did want to ask, I thought it was interesting, because I know about DJing, like, actually, I'm, like, we're, like, kind of friends with them. Steve, I think it's Russo or Ruse. I always say his last name wrong, but he DJs a lot. He DJed at Margarita Republic a lot.
Okay.
Like, and then he works with Matt Gray, too. Do you know
Yeah,
Matt Gray?
I know Matt.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if he still does, but he used to work with Matt Gray, and, like, Matt would give him what he didn't want or something like that. So,
Yeah, Matt got me the gig with Girls Night Out.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's really kind of what, like, set off my solo DJ career, working with the Imprint duo girls, and doing all the Girls Night Outs, and, like, that's really where I shine and where I flourish, because those events, they're, you know, women empowerment, and, like, the music is stuff that I listen to in my car when I'm driving, so I'm more familiar with it, rather than, you know, sometimes you get, like, a Sweet 16, and I don't listen to the same music that a 16-year-old listens to. I mean, most of it, at least, so.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
It's not the same vibe, you know.
Yeah.
I get I really enjoy doing, like, the Girls Night Outs because of it being what it is.
Yeah, no, I can completely, like, understand, but, like, I was gonna go back to, where you talked about how you make more money, like, doing a set gig versus, like, doing events. Could you, like, talk, like, elaborate?
Absolutely.
I'm just curious.
So, I mean, yeah, you could get an event, and you could charge them, let's just say that the event is a 4-hour, just basic event. You can charge them, like, $500, and yeah, that's good money. But let's say you have a residency. Now you are supposed to be somewhere every week, and you can make, you know, $150, $200 every week,
Okay.
rather than just the one standalone event. It's more steady. I guess I shouldn't have said more money. It's more steady money for
Yes,
you to
I
have
can
a
see that.
residency. So, you know, it is at least what I imagine a lot of DJs, the goal is for them to get into a bar or a club and have a set residency, because you can also tell your people who want to come out and see you, hey, I'm at wherever, you know,
So
whatever.
it's a good way for you to, like, build your clientele then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Like, I mean, like Steve, like, I met him there, and then he did our wedding.
Right.
So, like,
Right,
okay.
exactly. And my dad has done a lot of that as well. Like, actually, just recently, he, this past year, he's
So
done.
he still DJs?
Yeah, oh yeah, he
Okay.
still DJs. So the funny thing about that, too, I'll get back
Sure.
to that story
It's
that I
okay.
was going to tell, but the funny thing about my dad still DJing is he's the other resident DJ at Vivid Music Hall.
Okay.
So when I can't make it, he covers for me, vice versa, I cover for him. And we, he actually gets me a lot of gigs as well, because there's a lot of stuff that, like, because he's been doing it for a long time, he doesn't want to do anymore. Like, he doesn't want to do Sweet 16s. He doesn't care to learn the music for a quinceañera. Because he's older. He's not, like, that's not his thing. Like, for me, I'm like, well, I can make more money if I learn Spanish music.
Yeah.
So let me delve into that. Like, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. I'm trying to open up my horizons. That way I can get more events. But, yeah, for him, he's like, nah, Rachel. He'll call me. Hey, what are you doing this day? Blah, blah, blah. Do you have anything booked? Nope. Okay. Can you take this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had done 3 weddings in the past year, and you know, as after you get married, you
Yeah.
guys stop going out as much. You kind of stay home more. Well, all 3 of his couples that got married in the past year came out a couple weekends ago for something after a Gator game or something.
Of course.
And he had to take a picture with all 3 couples, and it was great that they all came into the club. But he got all of them from DJing in the club.
Yeah.
And like you said, you build your clientele. You get people come up to you. Hey, do you also do blah blah blah? Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I was just curious, like, how that works, because I always like to ask these, like, kind of questions that I feel unless I'm, like, talking to you or, like, put myself in that setting, I probably wouldn't ask, because I like to know about, like, how people, like, how each entrepreneur and each, like, little thing does it, how, like, it functions, I guess.
Sure.
I find it interesting. I guess I
Yeah.
find systems interesting. Now, you did talk about, and, like, we kind of talked about earlier, like, about how you've, like, dealt with some issues with, like, having past relationships and them not being okay with you being out late and stuff, which I guess I can kind of understand that, but I'd like to elaborate on that and for us to kind of dive into that topic. So I guess more of what I'm asking is, I mean, I know obviously we talked about this, like, it's a man's world, so, like, what do you find that you do that kind of, like, either sets you apart or, like, how you deal with it, I guess?
So I feel like, well, obviously, I mean, the biggest thing is I'm a female.
Obviously.
And most DJs are male. I feel like a lot of males in this profession, you know, they're, at least like in the club setting, I know that there have been situations where, like, girls will be like, oh, can I show you my boobs, and can you play this song for me, and, you know, whatever, like, or flirt with the DJ, try to sleep with him so that he'll play their songs, or just so that they can be VIP, or whatever the motive is. But, like, I don't feel like I have as much, like, groupies or whatever.
Okay.
Like, I don't know.
You don't have like loyal followers as much.
I do have loyal
Okay.
followers, but, like, I don't feel like I have, like, I don't have anyone working that angle.
Okay, I got you.
At least I haven't noticed it. I mean, maybe I'm oblivious, but I don't know. I haven't noticed that anyone's tried to, like, work that, you know, that angle with me. Men are, what I've found is men are more, like, straight up with it, and, like, if they are gonna flirt with you, they're gonna, you know that they're flirting, and then you can let them down, like, yeah, I'm married, or I have a boyfriend, or whatever you want to say. No, I'm not interested, whatever, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, that's, I mean, if I'm ever faced with that, which I haven't been faced with that yet, if I'm ever faced with that, that's how I'm going to handle it.
Oh yeah,
just,
of course.
Know, as professional as
Now,
possible.
why do you think there's, like, so many, like, men DJs versus not that many women?
You know, I don't know. I don't know why females don't try to DJ more, because it's fun. I find it easy. Maybe it's easy because I've been in this life for a long time. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I do feel like there are some kind of, like, things that you just have to have, like, going into this profession. You have to have a knowledge for music. You have to be a little clever and, you know, on your feet. Witty. I think that's a big characteristic that you have to have. And I'm not trying to say that girls aren't, you know, because I have met some very witty, clever women. But I don't know.
Do you think it goes back to that, like they feel unsafe? Because, like, you're... Like,
maybe.
Because, like, back in the day, like, if you DJ'd like that, you... Like, my dad... Was it his roommate? I think it was his roommate. Like, somebody he worked with, like, used to DJ. And they used to, like... I mean, back in the day, it was a little bit different. Like, I don't think they had DJs, like, in every single club, like, today.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
I think it was more, like,
gotcha.
underground or
Yeah,
more, like,
yeah.
like, at a strip club. Or, like, it was not necessarily, like, always, like, in the best parts of town, I guess. I mean, like...
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
see, that's another thing. So my residency is at Vivid Music Hall in Gainesville, and sometimes when when they let out at 2:00 in the morning, I've heard gunshots.
Okay.
I get straight to my car and then I go out a back way. That way I'm not fighting like the downtown traffic or whatever. But I could definitely see how like women would be like, no, like too scared to maybe
That's what I'm
go
like,
out and do it themselves, you know?
Yeah, because my dad talked about how like I can't remember who it was, but they used to DJ and they talked about like how much like crazy shit they would see like all the time, and like and like if it's underground, it's probably even worse than like if you're at like a music hall or something where there's like security, and it's a lot different than like just willy-nilly somebody's major house party somewhere.
Sure.
And I think they were in Orlando or Naples, so like a bigger city.
Yeah.
You know, like or with people with more money. So he was DJing like with people with money and having like elaborate parties. And,
right.
You know, they're doing drugs, probably cocaine, all kinds. I mean, they're
probably
all the above. And so I could see like if you're a woman that probably wasn't like necessarily the popping place you'd want to be.
You know, another thing is too, and I'm in all of this, I want to say like I'm not trying to like generalize or offend anyone.
Yeah, no.
But I will say for me, it is hard for me to like. So like this past weekend we had girls' night out, and I had to do my setup. I got there before my boyfriend did.
Okay.
And I couldn't lift my speakers.
Oh.
They're too heavy. I mean, yeah, as a girl, I can walk up to any man in the building and say, hey, can you put up the speaker for me? But I don't like to do that. I don't like to have to depend on other people. Like, I like to have my own crew. That way I can just, you know, they can set it up for me if I can't do it myself. I am very independent in that way. But I could see how, like, girls could look at all of the equipment and be like, no, there's no way that I can handle that. Like, I'm tiny and that's heavy.
Okay.
So maybe, I don't know.
I was just curious. I mean, like, you're gonna have a different viewpoint than like somebody else because you do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like, and I don't really know that many women DJs. Like, genuinely, I don't.
I have met 2 other female DJs, and one was just starting out, so she also doesn't have a lot of experience to have shared with me, and the other one has had a lot of experience, but she from what I've seen, all of her events she's worked with the same people.
Okay.
So, you know, repeat business, and you get more comfortable with that. So maybe.
Yeah, because the only other female DJ that I take it back. I do know. We go to one when we go to St. Pete, and she's a lesbian, and she does it. But all of her stuff's pre-set up. So like, you know, like it's like a hall that already has everything set, and then she just sets up there. But she does it with there's like this gay guy that owns. It's what is it? I think it's the Nun, I don't know. It's a play. It's making fun of the Catholic Church. Is what it's doing.
Okay.
The Saint. That's what it is. The Saint.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like a speakeasy, and then he also owns cocktails, and then he owns like a gay hotel. So, and she tends to DJ for them very often, and like he's like some major person, I guess, in St. Pete, like investor, I guess, that's like building and doing a lot of gay clubs and like things like that. Whatever, it's great.
More power.
Yeah, whatever. Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but but she's the only one that I've ever really seen.
Yeah.
And I've went to a lot of gay bars, and I would think, and there was another lesbian DJ that we went to, but she was a lot older.
Okay.
Like a lot older, and I was like, that was interesting. Most of the time when I went to gay bars, it's always like a gay guy. Usually, it's a gay bar.
Yeah.
It's gay guys.
Literally every time that I've ever gone out, I've only seen men.
Yeah,
DJs.
usually, especially around Ocala.
So I don't, you know, I would love to ask that question as well to other female DJs, maybe who have had more experience.
Yeah.
As well.
Because I just don't.
It is very interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe we're onto something with like between the equipment and then like also like being an insecure area. But like I think that's a big factor, and then maybe also like where you were talking about like where like the SOs went okay with it.
Yeah.
Because both of the women, they were both masked lesbians, so they like the role that you play, you're not taking care of kids, and you know if you're out to 2 a.m. like it is what it is.
True, and that's you're right. You're right.
And I guess that would play like a role into maybe as to why somebody wouldn't choose to do it. I think it's gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're probably gonna see that switch.
Sure.
But as we sit, I think that's why mostly men have done it.
Probably.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
To talk about.
It probably is
Yeah.
a big reason as well.
Okay. Well, we'll kind of go on to the next.
Okay.
What I usually always talk about, like social media and like we'll
Okay.
talk. I want to talk a little bit about AI too, but
Yeah,
let's talk about
absolutely.
social media and like what you think about it, like maybe how you utilize it. All
Okay.
that.
So I have a love-hate with social media.
Most people I interview too.
I love the fact that like I can network with so many different people, and that I can see how many people I'm reaching, and kind of give me an idea of like projection, like how many people are going to be at this event that I'm going to be
Okay.
at, or something like that. Is this a smaller event? Is this a bigger event? Like, what should I charge? Whatever. And at the same time, I feel like in my personal life, social media is the devil.
Okay.
I feel like if you use it the right way, it can be very beneficial. But I also feel as though a lot of people don't use it the right way. And there's been some sneaky stuff I've seen, in my personal life. Not really with the business half of it. On the business side, I think that it's great for networking. I haven't experienced this personally yet, but I know that it's out there. If you piss one person off, it's also very easy for them to just blast you on
That's
social
true.
media, and then no one really knows. Are you a scam artist or are you not? One person said that you were, so you might be, and it's like, what do you believe? I ran into a girl on a page who was doing something for cheaper because she just learned how to do it.
Okay.
And somebody commented on the post, this person is a proven scam artist in another group. And I'm like, well, do I believe that? I go to her page. She doesn't have a whole lot of followers. She did say that she was just starting, so maybe that's why. And I asked the girl who said something, I did reach out to her, and I was like, hey, I'd love more information on how you know this person is a scam artist. Because, I can't just go off of the fact that you're saying that she's a scam artist just because you might not like her. Who knows? She may have slept with your husband, and now you're just out here blasting her company because you can, because it's the internet and you have the availability to do that. So I always like to be very objective and do my homework when it comes to social media, but I feel like that's like really the only like negative to social media in a business standpoint.
I think that's actually a really good point. I don't think anybody that I've talked to hasn't brought that up. And I usually let like whoever I'm interviewing like run whatever we talk about when it comes to that. But that's a really good point, and something that I don't think many people consider if they're the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Like they consider it if they're the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
but not if they're the business
Mhm.
owner. It is very true. Like, I mean, as a realtor, you can only imagine, like, that's, like, the number one fear because, like, everybody bases, like, everything you do off of social media. 100%, like, being a realtor specifically, like, they view your social media even before they, like, look at your website.
Yeah.
Like, they really want to make sure that you, like, you look aesthetically pleasing. Like, are you aesthetic? Does it look like something professional? And they judge you off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like,
I could totally see that.
yeah, and it's difficult sometimes because if you don't have, like, that...
The right look.
Yeah, the right look that
Mhm.
everybody likes or whatever the case may be, like, you get judged for that. And it has to be, like, so aesthetic and, like, so fake. And I think as much as the consumer wants that,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, they complain about it, too.
Mhm.
Which I find so
Mhm.
interesting, being a realtor. It's like, they come in, like, I had the worst experience. They were so fake. And I'm like, but you judge them based off of, like, their social media that looked fake. So I really don't know what you expected.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there was
Absolutely.
something real about them. They seemed as fake as how they ended up getting
It's
the
funny
service.
that you mentioned that though, like the part about
Yeah.
like fakeness or whatever, because like you see what I want you to see on my social
Exactly.
media. I don't post that I'm sick in bed with COVID. I don't post when I'm really unmotivated and depressed. I still post like, hey, come on out and see me, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, I'm in bed like dying. And I feel like people expect for you to just always be on, especially when you're like in the public eye.
I can imagine
You know?
as a DJ, they expect for you always to be like pumped and
Yes.
like have energy.
Yeah, and like even my dad will say to me sometimes, like, so this past week has been just murder with my schedule. My schedule has just been like crazy because Halloween and parties and everything.
I know, that's why I was
So,
like, when we were scheduling this, I
yes.
was like, that's gonna be a shit show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But yeah, so with it being Halloween and everything, you know, I worked Tuesday night, Halloween. Wednesday night was my regular night at Vivid. Thursday, I host trivia in Gainesville. And then Friday, I had a Sweet 16. Saturday, I had girls' night. Literally did not stop until Sunday. I finally got some rest on Sunday. And then yesterday, I was back at it again with my sister-in-law's birthday dinner. But like, I haven't had.
You DJ'd that?
No, I didn't
Oh,
DJ it,
but
but
you
I
just had something.
had something
Yeah.
to go to. Like I had to still, you know, have the energy and whatever. So I think it was Friday before the Sweet 16. My dad said to me, he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he was like, "You look really rough."
Oh, God.
And I was like, "Noted." Like, and I was tired. I was just tired, but like you know, you have to put that aside. You have to drink a Red Bull. You gotta put some concealer under your eyes, and you gotta keep going, even if you don't want to.
No, that's 100% true. It's funny because one of the brokers, Alicia's husband, was in here and he was like, "You look stressed and tired," and I was like, "I have been going because I do open houses on the weekends and like I've been doing all these interviews, so I feel you, I'm tired." So today I was like, I'm not working. I was like,
Good for you.
I'm not gonna do it. Like I went to my mom's and my mom needed some help with like her garage door opener. Oh my God, it took forever. I think I would have rather worked than like worked on the garage. And it, you know, honestly, like I felt in that moment, I'm like, and this is why you really are supposed to read directions. Like I read the directions like 3 times, but they were not computing up here. And then I like read them again after like my frustration was gone, and I figured it out. I was like, hallelujah! I was like literally like my mom was in the Villages. I'm sure all those people thought I was crazy. I was like literally standing outside the garage because I had spent
Yelling.
I was like, hallelujah! I got it. It worked. I pressed the button. It worked. Did her car. It worked. I was like, all right, Mom, you're good. Like. We're done. I'm like just so over it. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Oh man, I know. Sometimes like after I put stuff together, like even just like, you know those like cube things, like the cubes with the
Yes.
little drawers or
Yes.
whatever. I was putting one of those together, and again didn't read the directions because I was like, this is easy. I can do this. Not a problem. I got it all put together, and I forgot this one post. And I had to take the whole thing apart, just put the one post back in there. And I'm sitting there cursing, yelling at the thing. My dogs are like, "Is she okay?"
No, it's definitely true. It's just, I don't know. But I understand, like, with the whole, like, working and, like, all of it is just, like, very exhausting. And I think people get into entrepreneurship and they think it's going to be,
Right.
like, easy.
Well, and, you know, and I feel like that's another thing, too, is that, like, people just people think that because you're a DJ that you're just pressing play. And it's, like, so easy. And it is easy, but it also can be very difficult. Because you have to read the crowd. You have to know what to play, when to play it. You know, you can't make everyone happy. There are going to be people who are upset. I just had a wedding this past weekend as well. And somebody asked me to play Dixieland Delight during the wedding. And the bride put together she was cool, she was awesome. She put together a 2-hour playlist on Spotify of stuff that she wanted to hear. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna play what the bride wants to hear. It's her day. Dixieland Delight ain't on this playlist, so we ain't playing it.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like, you know, people just expect you to be like, yeah, you know, a yes man. And it can be stressful, and when people are like, I need you to play this song now, or, you know, what would be really great is if you played this, or can you play something that doesn't suck? That's my favorite one. It's like, okay, yeah, because what doesn't suck to you may be what she wants to hear, you know?
No, literally, like,
Or whatever, vice versa.
yeah, no, I think it's hard to please everybody, especially with like music. I mean, because everybody has such different tastes, and if like depending on where you're at, like the age group widely different, and it's widely different. Like I know at our wedding, like I was like my parents really loved. I love Trace. I know Trace Atkins. Chris Stapleton. I love Chris Stapleton, but I hate his rendition of oh God, what is the damn song? My mind just totally went blank. It's the one that everybody dances to.
Tennessee Whiskey?
Yes, Tennessee Whiskey. And I don't like his rendition of it, and I hate it, loathe it. And I told Steve, I was like, I don't care what my parents ask for. They can ask for whatever, but please do not play that. And my parents got irritated about it, but I was like, I don't like that song. Pick a different slow song. Like if you want to slow dance, that's fine. Like we were also like that. We put a whole Spotify playlist together, and he ended up really loving our reception like playlist. We like did all these like older, probably like 50s type music. It came out really good. But
cool.
Yeah, it goes back to like what you're saying. Like you're not gonna make everybody happy, and like at the end of the day, whoever paid you or had you there obviously makes the rules to some degree. But I think that kind of leads into me like talking about AI. And like I think because it's wild, like I can never get it to work, but my wife does it like with Spotify with like the DJ because they have that setting.
Yeah, where like a smart shuffle.
I guess, but it like DJs it for you. It's supposed to be like that.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I
I've seen the smart shuffle thing where it's like you can.
It like talks to you.
Oh.
So it says like it's like something from like I don't know like the early DJ days, and it sounds like 90s I would say pretty much. It's like I'm DJ so and so, and it's like it sounds very like that era of DJs.
You. Okay.
So it's very interesting, but we were like I was like does that actually like how I told her I was like how is it and she was like terrible. I was like and so like I think that goes into like everybody thinks AI is gonna like solve.
No, I don't. So I feel like maybe one day, yes, because they're gonna keep perfecting it and perfecting it and perfecting it until it is what they want it to be. Just like the iPhone, the very first iPhone that came out, it was crap. But now look at it; it's almost taken over everything.
And I use it to record.
So yeah. So I feel like maybe in time, yes. I'm very like skeptical about like the whole like I know people have been using like the Remini app or whatever to like make the pictures of themselves and different like you can take a picture of yourself and it'll make a headshot for you like a business headshot or whatever, which is cool. But I also saw a commercial the other day where they were using all of those like characters and they look like real people, and then come to find out they're using people's AI because when you sign up for those things, they have permission to use your likeness. And you could see yourself in one of those AI medicine commercials. Mm-hmm. And that's a little creepy to me. But as far as like the DJing thing of it, I still feel like you need that human aspect in order to really like feel out the room and like to feel what people want to like I said, it's an energy thing. It's an energy exchange, and an AI is not going to have an energy exchange with the crowd. They're not going to have a personal connection with the crowd, and I feel like that's what makes a good DJ is that connection with the crowd. And I know like when I've used like the Snapchat AI just to like mess around with it or whatever, like I'll be like, give me a menu this week, for dinner, and it'll come up with some weird crap, and I'm like, I'm not eating any of this. Like, it's not, I don't feel like it's where they want it to be yet, but I feel like eventually maybe.
No, I do think it'll eventually get there. It's kind of funny because they really do not know how to do the hands. AI and hands are not good. So like I recently just put together a thumbnail for the lender that I do social media for, and the realtor that she interviewed was like she owns like a pizza shop too, and so I had her like I took a picture of her like with her mouth open like she was like biting something, like that was the whole thing. So I spent hours, and AI is supposed to be easy, but like you have to figure out what to type into it to get what you want. And buddy, I spent forever trying to like type into AI for it to come up with like I wanted somebody holding a pizza because I was replacing their head with her head.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I was
Mm-hmm.
doing. And tell me how I ended. It had like 10 fingers. Like I was so scared. It looked like some like alien monster with like all these fingers holding this pizza, and I had to like crop it up so it only showed like in the
2 fingers like this.
literally. It didn't look weird on the picture, like it looked totally like fine,
Yeah.
but it took some finessing to make it actually look halfway decent.
Oh, that's
And I thought it was hilarious because as a realtor, we get pushed a lot to like use AI and like even like somebody that like Coachella, that was like the person with the event. She told me to use it for like my videos, and like there's like a program that you can use that'll like take this podcast and make it into shorts. So
Cool.
it's cool, and I liked it. It gives you the times and the titles, and it tells you which ones are better or whatever. And it is pretty accurate when it comes to that, but I don't like the way it cuts it. Like it doesn't always cut it very well, and it's kind of it's good because I don't have to sit there and watch the video, and because I have to put the times in for my
Sure.
because I don't edit all of it. I have VAs that do some of it, and I have to sit there and I have to watch it and cut the times. And so me just sticking it in there and it cuts it for me is really nice, and then they do the rest of the editing, and it seems to be kind of helpful. But it goes back to like it's just not there yet.
It's not where you want it to be.
Yeah. And I'm like, it'd be real nice if it was because it'd make my life a whole lot easier.
Right.
And I wonder if at some point like if there'll be like something that DJs can use for like mixing like auto.
Yeah, I mean, already I know that there's a couple of like, I think it's Drake and The Weeknd. They have
Okay.
this song that's not really them. It's AI.
Oh god.
And when someone told me that it was an AI song, I was like, no way, this is them. Because it sounds just like them. And come to find out, no, it's AI. And that was a little, like I said, that was a little creepy to me. I was like, oh man. But at the same time, it's kind of cool because if we have the technology to do that with, 2 living people, artists, then imagine what we could do with, some, which I know that they have stuff in the vaults and stuff like that, but like imagine what we could do with like Michael Jackson.
No, I think it's interesting because I think as a DJ it'd be interesting if people like asked. I could see that maybe like somebody coming up being like, if AI gets there, like I want to hear this song but like this style.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
it would be kind of
That would be cool.
like creative.
Yeah.
Ness.
Who is it? Is it Jimmy Fallon? One of the talk show hosts do something with like an artist where they have
it's
them.
Jimmy.
It is Jimmy.
Yeah.
Where they have them sing like
Yes.
a song in the likeness of blah blah blah,
Mhm.
or in the style of what Mary Had a Little Lamb or something like that. And I think that would be, like you said, like that would be cool to say like, oh, I want to hear Hound Dog by Justin Bieber. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, but I guess you just kind of already do that when you do like if you remix something and you overlay old songs with new songs
Yeah.
or whatever. You kind of already do that, but now it would actually be more legit.
Right.
It's like an elevation of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it would be kind of like similar.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where that goes
Me too.
because I think it would lead to like a very interesting DJ experience.
Yeah.
I think and unique if somebody could like figure out how to do it well. I
Yeah.
guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because like you're talking about, DJing is more complicated than just like pressing buttons.
Yeah.
Because you do have to read the room, and I think it also where you're talking about how AI has no emotion. I find those songs don't have emotion. Like there is something. It sounds like them, like note wise.
Yes.
But
Agreed.
something about the human voice singing,
Mhm.
like a human being singing into a microphone or in front of somebody, versus like the AI recreation. There's something missing, and
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody really can explain what that something is.
Yeah.
But it's the emotion. But
Yeah.
how do you define that in singing?
You know, it's the same thing though. I find where like if I'm watching a movie on Amazon or something, and it's like the movie isn't in English, but they're speaking in English,
Okay, yeah, it's like
but
dubbed.
it's not really English. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like
It's dubbed, isn't that what they call it?
yeah, but it's like, and it's weird. There's, like you said, there's no emotion. It's very like, you can tell the difference. Like I've been sitting there like on my phone, because sometimes I'll just be on my phone and a movie will be playing in the background, and then I'll just hear just like the cadence in which they speak, and I'm like, that's not them. Like I'll have to look up at the screen and see their lips moving, and their lips don't match, and I'm like, okay, well now I'm thrown off.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's partially because they're lacking that emotional part to that role. Because
Yes.
they don't have it. It doesn't match like what they're because they're not experiencing it in real
Right.
time. Like they're watching it, but they're not acting, but they're watching it.
Yeah,
and
it's
recording
almost like they're reading it.
Yeah, almost like AI would, really, in a
Yes.
sense. It's kind of like just instead of like a fake person, it's an actual person
Right.
recording it, but they have no emotion.
Right.
Because they're not in the scene doing it.
Right.
So I think it's going to be interesting to see where that goes, especially with music. A lot of people are nervous about the music thing, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't enjoy listening to it.
Yeah.
It's very dull and
Yeah.
very blah. And I mean, the human voice can be like that anyway. I mean, even with talking or whatever, like, people on radio.
Oh yeah.
you know,
Monotone.
it just depends on the person, but I would say most of the time a human voice is much more interesting
Yeah,
than
I agree.
singing or talking or whatever it is than AI.
Yeah.
It's very dull. At least I think so.
No, I agree.
Maybe the younger age group won't think much of it because I
Well,
hope not.
maybe they'll be so used to it
But that's what I'm
that
guessing,
it won't be.
which is sad.
I know. It's really sad to me. So I have a 14-year-old.
Okay.
And it's really sad to me that she will never know the rush that we used to get of having to, make a snack real quick during a commercial break. Like,
Yeah,
she
that
can
is
just pause the TV and we can eat dinner or whatever, which is nice, but it's like, I don't know, it's something about that, like,
No.
gotta get back,
No, it is true, and because I'm Gen Z, but I'm like I'm the second year of it. So my wife's 97, I'm 98, so
Okay.
I'm 25. So people always assume that we are like Gen Z and we had smartphones, like we were TVing on smartphones, but we are not the generation because smartphones really weren't.
Right,
Like you
yeah,
said,
no.
the first iPhone sucked. Nobody
Yeah.
had it.
No,
I
I think the first iPhone came out in what, like 2004?
I think so. But it sucked. Nobody
Yeah,
used
it
it.
was
Blackberries
terrible.
were flying off the shelves
Yeah.
during that time frame.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I remember.
Hell, I remember Nextel. Beep beep.
Yes. And I remember my first cell phone that I ever got was like a little flip phone, and I had to press the keys to text.
Yes.
And they had just started coming out with like touch screen phones, and I was like, I don't think I got an iPhone in my 8th grade year,
Yeah.
and I got it one. But I would say like most of my like I have cousins that are younger than me. They had iPhones at like 7. I did not have that. Like I was a
Yeah.
teenager and I was I think it was my summer of my 8th grade year, so I was almost in high school.
Right.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I was more of a
absolutely.
teenager, a little more mature. I wasn't like a kid.
Right.
Like actually,
yeah.
like, I was a kid, but
So
not.
my daughter had an iPad when she was 5.
Okay.
But it was never like for her to just like we just gave it to her and go off to another room. It was more like we're in the car, here's the iPad.
Yeah.
We're waiting at dinner, like, just to kind of pacify her. We're waiting at dinner for our food to come. Here's the iPad. And now, like I said, she's 14. She's in high school now. Now she finally has a phone.
Yeah.
But my ex-husband and I did not get her a phone until she was in high school. But there are so many kids who have cell phones and, again, talking about social media and doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing, there's a lot of kids out there using Snapchat for stuff that they shouldn't be using it for.
Oh yeah.
And
Even in elementary school, because like I said, my wife's a teacher. She's an art teacher in
Yes.
elementary school.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of really inappropriate things with children that are
I
like,
believe it.
and they're like, I mean, they're elementary school children. The oldest is in 5th grade, so like, and most of these kids were like 2nd and 3rd graders, and it was wild. And like, it's wild how different they are from like even when I was in school.
Yeah.
And that's really not like,
Yeah.
there's a time difference there,
Yeah.
but like some of the elementary.
I feel
school-
like we're like our innocence was more protected, maybe.
Yes.
Because
Even
we didn't
mine.
have,
Yeah.
because we didn't have all of that so readily available to us.
I think the thing with us is we've gotten to see the like ramifications of like we know what life was like before
Mhm.
and after, because like it was
Mhm.
actually really funny. We were talking about, because when I interviewed Riley, we were talking about like the regular like film cameras, and we were joking because I said I felt like most people with the nostalgia of wanting like actual pictures, and I
Yes.
didn't realize how expensive it was to buy them and the film, because when we were kids it was so cheap.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, because I grew up in a time when that was what you did.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it until we got there, and I was like, oh my god, this is freaking expensive. This is ridiculous. Because like when we were kids, it was only made, so it was really cheap.
Right.
But it's like kind of wild. So usually towards the end of my podcast, I always ask like if somebody's looking to do what you do, what would you tell them?
So, definitely first and foremost, never settle. Do not settle. You are worth what you think you are worth.
Okay.
There are so many DJs, not even just females, but I do see it more with females. Females will, kind of, okay, we only want to pay you $200. Oh, okay. Even though you know in your head that gig is worth $4. But I've seen it with men as well. If you feel that you are worth, and let's be honest too. I mean, let's not go ahead and quote somebody $1,200 when it's a $400 job. But if it is a $1,200 job, you charge the $1,200, and you don't come down from that. Don't discount yourself. Because I feel like in the beginning, I feel like a lot of people were expecting me to just give away stuff for either really dirt cheap or for free. Even I've had people ask me to do events for free, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it for free because I can make money doing it. Why wouldn't I make money? And I feel like sometimes there are, maybe not even just DJs, but there are people who will quote much less than what they're worth just to get the job. And if you think that you're going to get more money down the line from taking the cheap route, by charging them less, then by all means, you do you. But don't discount yourself. If you know that you're worth something, charge it.
No, I think that's solid advice, because I think it is easy, especially in real estate. A lot of people do it really cheap in the beginning because they don't feel like they're worth anything, and that's just. But at the same time, I think consumers want it cheap, but you get what you get.
You get what you get. You get what you pay for. Absolutely, absolutely. And it, the other thing too is it drives down the market for all the rest of the people in my field. If someone is doing something for considerably less, obviously the consumer is going to get that person. Mm-hmm. But then the consumer is also going to expect for me to give the same price, and I'm not going to sink to bottom of the barrel. Like I said, if it's something that I'm super interested in, or if it's a charity event that I'm very, I believe in it wholeheartedly, maybe, yeah, absolutely, I would consider it. But other than that, no, I'm not gonna discount myself to make you feel more comfortable. In a sense. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna, if it's a $400 job, I'm not gonna charge you $1,200 for it.
Yeah.
That's a little ridiculous. I'm gonna charge you what it's worth, but I'm not gonna go lower than that. If I know that it's worth X amount, then I should be getting X amount. And I feel like I said, especially with girls, don't settle for anything. And if someone is, if you feel uncomfortable, call it out. That's another thing, because I feel like too many times I've been in situations where I've been uncomfortable and I've just had to laugh it off. And you shouldn't have to in any situation, whether it's DJing or not. If you feel uncomfortable, you should address it. And you should put a stop to it, because if you don't, it's going to keep happening. So that would be my only advice. Also, just be aware. Be aware that, especially if you're a woman, people are going to want to take advantage of you. And that's sad too. That's sad that as a woman, just in any aspect, you feel as though people are going to take advantage of you, and you have to be on guard. But you do, I feel like there have been many times where I've been called for something and it's you're definitely taking advantage of me. And, I may have handled it very professionally, but I know. And I feel like everyone should just be aware, and, they shouldn't put themselves into a little box to make other people feel comfortable, especially if you're uncomfortable. Don't do that.
No, I think that's all like super solid advice.
And I feel like it's just like
across the board.
map. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that applies to like anybody in any field. I think like you give a really interesting perspective. I really enjoyed this interview because you give a lot of different like you talked about a lot of different things that I haven't like really like had the opportunity to discuss with different people. So I appreciate like
Yeah, absolutely.
different perspective. It's kind of fun when I get people that
It's
are
refreshing.
refreshing, and then I think sometimes people are just scared not to be their true self. And
Yeah. I feel like I definitely could understand that. I could understand, wanting to. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I forgot that the cameras were even there, and I really just enjoyed having this conversation with you.
well, that's
But-
good. I'm glad to
absolutely.
hear that. I try my best to make it as much of a comfortable and fun environment as I
Yeah.
can, because that's the main goal. Is I want people to be authentic and feel comfortable in the space that we're in, because it's supposed to be fun, and like I don't care if people are super like I want you to say what you think.
Right. Well, and like I had said
Yeah.
earlier, like I'm not trying to like offend or
Of
like
course.
generalize and put everybody into the same box, but
It's your experience.
my experience has been,
It's been that, and then I think it's solid, and I think it's something like everybody has their own perspective, and that's why I do this. It's like at each interview, like I said, a lot of times I get a lot of different perspectives. Sometimes I get the same thing, but a lot of times I don't. Most people say a lot of different things, but I just thought for today, like I've interviewed like some other DJs, and I just their perspective. But you're also a woman, so that makes a difference too. So it was interesting. I enjoyed this, and I'm glad that you felt comfortable to share your truth. I guess.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Of
I
course, it's my
appreciate
pleasure, and thank you for coming.
it. Absolutely.
All right. So thanks everybody. Check back for next week's episode.